In episode 8, the finale of the Rings of Power, the stranger, also famously known as Meteor Man, revealed himself as being an Istad, with Istad meaning wizard, whilst also adopting a newfound English accent. So in today's video, we'll be going through the 5 Istari and seeing who is the best candidate for the role of the stranger. Of course, there is currently an obvious frontrunner with Gandalf, with of course that line,
"Always follow your nose."
but there could be more at play here, so let's get right into it and don't forget to like and subscribe.
Some that live deserve death, and some that die deserve life.
While we are on the topic of Gandalf, let's get into him first. The leading candidate and frontrunner for the true identity of the stranger is the Grey Wizard, but let's go through the reasons why.
Always follow your nose.
As mentioned earlier, the line "always follow your nose", which is extrapolated from the Fellowship of the Ring when Gandalf is in Moria, and when deciding what tunnel to go through, he says that famous line. So that on its own is a clear indication that Meteor Man is Gandalf. But what else leads to this perceived obvious connection?
Friend.
Well, the fact that he is around the Half-Elves, which are a breed of hobbits, and of course the connection between hobbits and Gandalf is notorious through the bond with Bilbo when choosing him for the journey in The Hobbit, and of course with Frodo and Sam in The Lord of the Rings.
Samwise Gamgee, have you been eavesdropping?
I ain't been dropping no eaves, sir, honest.
So pinpointing this initial rooted cause and reason for his love of the halflings and also the halfling's leaf is an important factor as to why this character, the stranger, could be Gandalf.
Finest weed in the South Valley.
Furthermore, another reason as to why the stranger is Gandalf is the similarity of this rune that you can see he carved on this rock in episode 2, which is very similar to the mark Gandalf left outside Bilbo's door in The Hobbit. Whether this is just a coincidental continuity link between the different adaptations or something more, we will just have to wait to find out. Another interesting link between the actions of Gandalf and the stranger is that they both have a loving for winged insects, as the stranger whispers to the fireflies, which mirrors what Gandalf does with the moths. Of course, visually, some have noticed that Daniel Wayman does look a lot like a younger Ian McKellen, and with the grey clothing he could pull off an interesting grey wizard. Time will tell. Talking about wizards, let's discuss the 2 blue wizards as a possibility, Romistamo and Morheneta, or Alita and Pelondo. In the Peoples of Middle-earth, it is stated that they arrived around circa 1600 of the Second Age. Quote, "Their task was to circumvent Sauron, to bring help to the few tribes of men that had rebelled from Melkor worship, and after his first fall to search out his hiding, in which they failed, and to cause disarray among the Dark East." They must have had very great influence on the history of the Second Age and Third Age in weakening and disarraying the forces of the East, who would both in the Second Age and Third Age otherwise have outnumbered the West. And this was in the chapter Last Writings in the Peoples of Middle-earth. So the major telling point here is they went to the east and south, and the stranger and Nori Brandyfoot are currently heading towards Rune, which as shown in this map is in the eastern and southern regions of Middle-earth. In letter 211, Tolkien wrote, quote, "I think they went as emissaries to distant regions, east and south, far out of Númenórean range, missionaries to enemy-occupied lands as it were. What successes they had, I do not know. And whatever successes or failures they had in the West is what hopefully we might see in this show." Another reason why going to Rune would make sense for the stranger being one of the blue wizards is because plot-wise, what would be in Rune for them minus the star constellations, except if the stranger was able to find his other blue wizard companion so they can be together again as a pair. Finally, the stranger being a blue wizard is of course the most lore-accurate scenario as well, so that is another important thing in its favor.
I must go to you.
New power is rising. Its victory is at hand.
Another really strong contender is the chief of the Istari, Saruman the White. Out of the 5 wizards, he is lesser talked about as a possibility, but still quite strong, with the main reason being if the stranger being Gandalf is an obvious misdirect and it is instead Saruman.
There will be no door for men.
Importantly, another character general audiences would know, because a problem McPain could face is hyping up general audiences into thinking the stranger is Gandalf, but when it ends up not being the case, they will be let down, and the actual choice in the end will be quite underwhelming.
All others look on you with doubt.
But if their final choice is Saruman, that doesn't really happen, as general audiences of course know him for the Fellowship of the Ring and the Two Towers.
Your love of the halfling's leaf has clearly slowed your mind.
Another reason is because there is just one wizard here, one stranger as opposed to 2, and is going eastward, so instead of it being the scenario where one blue wizard is going to Rune to find the other blue wizard, it's instead Saruman going to the east to seek and find the 2 blue wizards. What can also be explored in the show then is the Saruman's potential shift and turn to the dark. As for years in general Tolkien debates and conversations, when the fate of the blue wizards are discussed, one possibility has always been that the blue wizards were killed by Saruman, and that is why they were never heard of again. This also adds on to and might justify why in the show the stranger has never been just purely good and has had an evil and dark moments. Just like the fight, or when he even landed in the first episode, or when he was trying to rebuild the tree, there is a nuance with his character that he isn't just purely good. Unlike a character like Gandalf, there is some evil there, and he even admits it when he calls himself Peril.
I'm Peril.
So that might be a factor which supports the claim for Saruman. Last but not least, we have Radagast the Brown, the lowest of the order of the Istari, but still a possibility, and here are a few reasons why, and I would firstly like to shout out Strider from Fellowship of Fans for giving some of these reasons. Firstly, the stranger was originally told of and pointed towards Greenwood the Great by Sadok Burrows, which is of course where Radagast ends up residing.
People there can help you find your stars.
He also seems to be very in touch with nature, healing plants, and the whole growth situation, which is something one would expect only specifically from Radagast, alongside him healing himself in this scene here, which can be mirrored to the Hobbit movies, where Radagast helps heal and to save the little porcupine with the darkness and decay fading away, similar to the decay fading away from his arm in this scene. There were many mentions or rather references of Yavanna out of all the Valar except Ayule, and Yavanna is the one who sent Ivendil, also known as Radagast, so there is a nice link there also. At the end of the day, the Rings of Power is packed full of lots of surprises and sharp turns, so maybe the frontrunner of Gandalf being the stranger may not end up being the case. But without a doubt, he's the most likely candidate, and that does make sense from a character point of view and everything we have seen from the stranger so far.
Are you sure?
It's that way.
Not entirely.
He's remembered.
There's a sweet smell on the air.
Yeah, it doesn't smell
When in
so
doubt.
foul down here. If you die, always follow your nose.
We can at least say in Season 1, the showrunners made obvious hint that he is or could potentially be Gandalf. All I would say also is to not sleep on Saruman as a possibility as well, but at the end of the day, time will tell which one of the Astari is in fact the stranger. Make sure to let us know who you think the stranger is in the comments below, as well alongside other video ideas as we do read the comments. Thank you guys for watching, we really appreciate it. Make sure to like and subscribe. Until the next video my friends, goodbye.